Hello everybody, welcome to live coverage on Twitch and delayed coverage on YouTube to the Japanese Grand Prix free practice 2, the last 30 minutes of practice that the riders will get before the qualifying session begins in around about half an hour's time. Welcome to the show. If you're watching us live on Twitch, you don't have to do a thing. You can stay with us through practice 2 and qualifying. If you're watching us on YouTube, qualifying has already aired live for you on YouTube. And as well, we'll be live on that in around about half an hour's time as well. If you're watching live on Twitch, just stay with us for practice 2 and qualifying. Well, big news coming into today as the green flag flies and the riders head out to the circuit. The big news is that Alex Rins will not be taking any further part in this weekend after his crash in the practice session yesterday. He's got a pain in his leg and he's decided that he will rather back out and not be taking part in the weekend. He'll be back up when he is fully fit and ready to go. But the session is underway. Let's check in with Gavin Emmett and Neil Hodson.
Looked like the Bagnaia from 4 races ago.
Yeah, from Barcelona. You're so right. I tell you what, I'm going to say angry did he look on the bike when he set off practice 1 straight away. He's never fast straight away. He always builds into the weekend, and he was right at the top of the timesheets. And for me, that showed a man that was... The beauty of back-to-back races is if you make a mistake and you have a really bad race, you have so much self-loathing that you just bottle that up and you set off in practice 1 and you just unleash the beast. And I feel like that's what Bagnaia did. So, yeah, like you said there, a lot of people are saying, oh, Marco Bezzecchi's got the momentum, or Jorge Martin. Do not rule Bagnaia out at your peril.
And the thing is, Michael, he needs to, doesn't he? He needs to perform here simply because the gap is now 13 between himself and Martin. That could be whittled away by tomorrow afternoon.
It's unreal. And thinking we've still 7 main races, 7 sprints to go, a lot of points on the board. Obviously, this championship is a long way to run, and Pecco last season, once you get into a stride, the claw back on Fabio Quartararo was something a bit special to watch. But when you're going against Jorge Martin riding the crest of a wave on the same machine as you, and likewise Marco Bezzecchi, he needs to rebound, he needs to show that the woes, the injury from Catalunya, it's all behind him, and he's going to get into a stride. So obviously we get a week off before we go into 3 back-to-back races. It's the real busy period of the season, so yeah, he's got to be ready to go.
He really does, and this is the current conditions. Quite an interesting session in terms of the Riders' Championship. We've already told you about it several times coming into this weekend. There's a lot to look forward to as the riders do their first laps.
With the carbon fibre chassis, I mean, in Brad Binder's own words, he absolutely smoked us that weekend. So Brad put that, tried the new chassis here, and straight away said it's improved. The main area that he's been complaining about all the time is that little bit of rear grip. Said straight away felt an improvement, and that bodes well for the Austrian manufacturer.
And the fact was, they tried it in Misano, both he and Jack, and Jack actually said at the end of Misano test, oh, it feels great. But Brad was so reticent, wasn't he, because Misano was super grippy, as Neil just said, and obviously have all the rubber from the race weekend, so they had to try it here.
This is the proper test, so the Monday tests can throw you a little bit of a curveball because you've got so much grip after the weekend, so everything feels good. You have to double back-to-back test, and they've done it here in Motegi, put it in. Immediate results around the track they were fast at anyway, and it does suit Brad's riding style because he's hard on the brakes, sideways into the turn. But I think the carbon chassis, from what we've seen under Pedrosa, it finds a little bit of grip. It seems to change direction quite well. It works, it's reactive, it's responsive.
Why then? How do you reckon it's doing that? Because I really do feel like KTM's going to be in the mix for the podium this weekend.
Yeah, obviously we don't know what's going on under the design of the frame, but we know with carbon it's a material that is malleable. You can lay the fibres in a certain direction to decouple the flexibility. Sometimes with aluminium, if you give flex on the side, you've made the bike twist as well. It's with carbon you can get flex in the side, but keep it strong on braking so as it doesn't twist. The same in acceleration. So obviously they know what they needed to achieve, and they've designed it that way.
But obviously KTM were always about the steel, and even though the steel was heavier than the aluminium, they felt they had that flex, that the way they could make it work more. Carbon just sounds expensive. It sounds like it's going to cost a lot. If Jack obviously crashed one yesterday, what do we think?
Money's not the
It's not, is it?
No, it's all about out-and-out performance. What you have to remember is the ridiculous lean angles that you can get to now with the MotoGP bike. When you're at 60, what's the maximum they go to?
Yeah, about
60.
59, isn't it?
Yeah.
59, 60 around there.
Yes. Yeah, but when you're that far over, the suspension, believe it or not, is doing very little. So the way you get the bike to feel better in that position, and you're in that position quite a lot, obviously on a racetrack at the maximum lean on all the corners, it is all about the way the chassis flexes, and KTM have worked hard. We've seen manufacturers in the past go down that route, the carbon fibre route. Ducati got lost for a while with going down in round in circles in that direction, but KTM have definitely found something. And how long is it now before other manufacturers are going to follow? I think Aprilia have already been tested.
Aprilia have, yeah. We've seen one in Lorenzo Savadori's bike at Mugello tests earlier this year. So yeah, it is like KTM. Obviously it's steel tubes, but they started 3D printing sections of the steel tube, so they have evolved how they've made these tubular frames over recent years, and it still looks the same, but obviously it's an orange wrap on the carbon material. So
Marc Marquez coming into the braking zone, just running a little bit wide down at turn 11 as well. Just a small little run downhill. We've changed from the main camera to the secondary camera, so I can take a seat up here in the commentary box. It is 2:16 in the morning. And as well, but Mark just making a little mistake. Martin still setting the combined times at the moment, which is what you're looking at, which was a 1:45.192 set in the morning session yesterday. Times at the moment for Fabio Quartararo are a 1:45.335, so we're not that far off the pace actually. No one's improved on their time from yesterday. Well, actually, Quartararo's gone third. If we take a look at the full times for you, Quartararo's gone third, he's improved. So is Raul Fernandez, Zarco, Di Giannantonio, Miller, Nakagami, Polaspargo, Pirro and Bridle, and lap time cancel for Bridle for exceeding track limit. So they are actually improving on their overall time, which is good. And unlike yesterday when we saw them in the first session doing like a medium front, soft rear, hard front, medium rear, everyone this time out on that circuit, as you can see on your monitors right now, has gone hard front, soft rear, and we are about to see a change at the top. Fabio Quartararo goes fast, it's a 1:45.335. That's changed now by Marco Bezzecchi on a 1:45.048. So the times, again, have improved. They have changed over, as exactly as we were expecting to see. And now, finally, the system's getting back up and running. Nice, easy start then to Saturday morning. Johan Mir goes 12th, Quartararo now down to third. Bezzecchi, Marc Marquez up to second, 1:45.329. But Bezzecchi, 1:45.014. Bagnaia, 1:45.108. And Martin, 1:45.192. It's changing as fast as you can say.
Just think of what Massimo Rivola did for Aprilia. Aprilia was the Honda of now. Aprilia was the bike you did not want to ride in MotoGP. It was almost a career ender. So many riders that jumped on that Aprilia. It ended the progression in their career. Who turned that around? One person. Really, it appeared to be. And I know it's not just one person.
No, it's mainly organisational, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You've got the right people, and they probably, at Honda, got a lot of the right people. We know they have engineering expertise coming out of every single nook and cranny at Honda.
But there's I know Livio Supo and Alberto Puig have worked at team level, but HRC back at Japan, they've never infiltrated an Italian or someone from another manufacturer or team into the HRC hierarchy right at the top. So obviously Takeo Yokoyama got moved aside this year. Kakubu-san came in for 1 year as project leader, and already he's been moved aside with a massive CV behind him as well.
Yeah, there's Ken Kawauchi obviously from Suzuki. I'm thinking of other people though, like Shinichi Sahara, who I've seen around the paddock, who has always been the Suzuki project director, Davide Brivio, who's gone and done a similar thing in Formula One. These names are being bandied around.
And it all makes sense. Let's just think, so Marc Marquez is leaving Honda. It seems like, obviously it's still not official, and I could be wrong, and the paddock rumours could be wrong, but if he does leave, there's one or two things going to happen. There's going to be a big penalty clause in his contract, Bear in mind, he's paid around 15 million euros a year.
I think more.
I think more, actually, but that's on the conservative.
18 to 20 million.
Yeah, that's the. But so we're talking about that figure. So potentially, Honda are in a position where they don't have to pay that fee for someone's services next year. Plus, said rider will have to pay a penalty. So all of a sudden, let's say in the pot to go race in MotoGP, they could be. We could be talking about 30 million. We could be talking 25 million. They could pay. Massimo Rivola's not going to leave Aprilia. He's an Italian. Yes, of course he is. They could pay. If they offered him 5 million, but the best £5 million Honda have spent on that project that's been lost for the last 3 or 4 years, that we have said, well, it's going to take at least, because of the limited amount of testing you get in MotoGP now, it's going to take how many years to get back to where they were? 1, 2, 3? It could be. But talk about KTM yesterday, spending 70 million a year on their project. So you're talking about huge amounts of money. How do we shortcut that? How do we fast track getting a better motorcycle? Well, you poach the best, and Massimo Rivola would be an incredible signing, and they could throw money at it.
The only thing for Rivola is it's an organisational one more than anything, isn't it? It's not a technical one as such, but is that what's missing? And we don't know. But Mark Marquez actually said it's clear that they're starting to make moves. Juan Mir said, look, you can see that Honda are trying. He is trying a new frame here this weekend. Mark Marquez has a couple of updates. He's actually got a triple clutch change or something that he's got on his bike as his Mir. Mark says he's not testing the 24 frame. I will give the other side of things. Mark says he's not testing it because he thinks it's wrong. Planning to marry my boyfriend, so please give me your gloves as a gift. I mean, I'm not sure the exchange that Fabio gets out of that, but he had a big crash yesterday, didn't he, Neil? And you were spot on at the time. That big crash out of turn 6, he reckoned 200 Ks that he crashed at yesterday, Quartararo. So we're talking 125 miles an hour.
It looked that fast as well.
Yeah.
And both me and Michael have been through that section. When you're on a MotoGP bike, it feels like 200 miles an hour. It's a fast old corner. And it was a strange crash. It looked slightly puzzling at first because he was out on the curbs. And as he starts to tip the bike into that fast corner, turn 6, he literally just face planted. And we've both me and Michael have experienced it before. When you get a little bit of front disc drag, it can slow the front wheel down ever so slightly. At that point of the track, there is absolutely no weight on the front tyre, and it's almost like you're trail braking with your finger whilst accelerating. And horrible crash, face planted him down, and it looked like he'd sprained his ankle or something. He took a proper beating, and he'll be sore today.
Yeah, but he actually says we've got pace. We just needed to get through to Q2, and because of that crash, they didn't manage it. Q1 is going to be a bit spicy, I think, because you've got Miguel Oliveira, 5th in this session, not far off, and Oliveira's been pulling out laps. He went top, actually, in a session. You've got Augusto Fernandez inside the top 10. He's going to be in that session too. You're going to have Marc Marquez, Fabio Quartararo, Joan Mir. You know, you've got some names who were there last week.
Yeah, it's a tough one to call, and it is going to be about finding the right wheel. At the moment, Yamaha still complain. They put new set of tyres in and they find 3 tenths, maybe 4. Looks like Ducati and KTM can find almost a second. So Fabio did jump back in his spare bike after the crash and matched his best time. So I think if it had been a normal scenario where he didn't have the tip up, he may well have made the cut. He's been looking in around about 4th and maybe 5th on race pace so far this weekend, and he did make it directly through to Q2 last week in India, and that changed the whole complexion of his weekend. He had a chance starting on those first couple of rows of the grid. He was in the podium battle, so he needs to convert the Q1 into Q2 this afternoon. It is a pressure cooker scenario.
Pecco Bagnaia just looked completely different yesterday. We saw that bike hopping around on entry, out of shape. And yesterday, when we saw Pecco Bagnaia on the bike, he was out of shape, but in that Bagnaia controlled way, wasn't it? It feels like we might get a Martin Bagnaia face-off. That's what it feels like to me. Anyway.
Possibility.
Yeah, no, I definitely think you're right. And also, Brad Binder, who was fastest yesterday, he's got, and that way it wasn't a one-off lap. It's right in the mix. So yeah, we could be in for a right treat. It's funny you say that the bike was still moving around a lot with Bagnaia, but it was that controlled floating sort of way he did it, and no head shakes, no missing of apexes. So I think it's a combination. Well, he said it's a combination of setting. It's a little bit of the electronics. Do you know what? I think it's more the ride. I think it's easy to forget that he got his legs run over pretty badly a few rounds ago. He came back, obviously, Misano, and was in a lot of agony.
Yep, it really was, and it was not a pretty sight as well. Let's remember that as well. That crash at the Catalan Grand Prix, it was a really heavy incident. Augusto Fernandez goes 8 to 145.318. Jorge Martin does a 145.148. He's a tenth off exactly of Marco Bezzecchi's time as Bezzecchi comes back in to the pit lane. So as things stand then, Bezzecchi for Marquez, everybody's improved on their set time from yesterday, bar Mia, who's 13th, Binder, who's 15th, and Carl Crutchlow, who is 20th. Everybody else has improved on their opening gambit time here at the Grand Prix of Japan. And everyone out there hard front, soft rear. Brad Binder now dropped down into 21st place, but he's got a fastest middle sector of 47.492 on the combined times. Binder now up towards the line and goes second fastest to 145.058. He's 10 thousandths of a second off of Marco Bezzecchi's time. The top 5 in the standings, separated, as you can see on your screen, by 66 thousandths. The top 6 separated exactly by a tenth of a second. Amazing times going on right now in the Grand Prix of Japan.
There is even more opportunities here, aren't there, to get closer?
Yeah, the nature of this track, yeah, definitely there are more opportunities.
Got something there, whether it be with the airbag fitting or with his inner suit, just like it catching on his
back. Your back protector sometimes can ride up or ride down. It's quite a common one.
Good crowd, wasn't there, when we came in this morning? I thought, they were queuing at the gates, bit of queue to get into the circuit.
Yeah, typically the Japanese fans really welcome MotoGP coming to town. They love it. They queue up. Normally there's a signing session with the riders to go and see them here on a Saturday afternoon. And they so mannerly, all wait in line for an autograph or a handshake. And they're a different breed. They love the sport. And it's good to see a great turnout already on Saturday morning.
What I love is you come over to Japan and they've all got their favourites. They've got individual riders. I saw someone this morning, big Angel Nieto Jr. fan. I saw Helete's there, and someone's got pictures and things of Angel Nieto Jr. And everyone's got their little favourite. There'll be a hardcore guarantee. There'll be a hardcore Matteo Bertelli fan from Moto3, won't there?
That's where it's unusual. You see a Bo Benschneider fan club, little Japanese fan club, but it is the way that they queue up, and it's really, really good to see. Do you know what? It made my morning this morning. We were waiting, we were just doing a rehearsal, and I looked across, and Nobuo Ueda was there, and he saw me, he gave me a big wave and a massive grin, and next to him was Kazuto Sakata, and I looked at them two, and I thought, wow, there's two men who could ride a two-stroke 125 pretty fast.
Absolute legend.
Yeah, I dreamed about being as fast as them.
And aggressive.
Both of them, so wild. What I loved about Nobuo Ueda is he was the most aggressive man on track and officially the nicest man off it. And he sort of got away with it. A bit like Brad Binder, actually. As in,
it's like a smiling assassin sort of thing.
Yeah. So, that's made my morning.
Do you know what? As we watched Aleix Espargaro, who said he didn't expect to go well here. His one lap pace was good. Race pace, maybe not so much. He didn't basically want to get ahead of himself. Go on to, I think it was KTM's Instagram or socials. There's a lovely shot of Jack Miller. Have you seen it, with the little kid with the hat on? And he comes up to Jack, tells Jack that he loves him. Yeah. Gives him a cuddle, and Jack gives him a knee slider. It's just the sweetest thing. And that, you see that behind every garage, don't you?
Yeah.
It's brilliant. I love it.
Yeah, well, actually, we're talking about Japanese legends. The number 41 in the front of this machine, that's a nod to Yuichi Wii.
And he's here.
Yeah, he is.
He's working. He's a crew chief now,
I didn't know that.
In Asia Road Race Championship. Yeah. And I've seen him bustling around. Yuichi was one of my heroes. Absolute legend. And again, someone so smooth on his day on a 125. Myself and Neil, had the honour last night. We were given the chance to go and witness the Danny Pedrosa's 125 championship winning bike, Hiroshi Oyama's 250 championship winning bike, and Daijiro Kato's 500, NSR 500, all started up for us yesterday. We were lucky. The smell of two strokes in the air.
It was a special moment, wasn't it? I mean, Gav got all misty-eyed, and And your exact line was it? It's not a bad job, this, is it?
It's all right.
One of those moments. We've been to the Honda Museum on Honda Collection Hall on numerous occasions, but it's the first time they've wheeled bikes out and fired them up for us. It weren't just for us. It's obviously an organised little event.
It was just for us.
But yeah, special moment. And as
we were behind the velvet rope.
Oh yeah, we got the VIP entrance. We didn't have to pay, put it that way. But
have you seen this? Just quickly while we're on it, look what they've got. They've got a shot of some ribs being cooked on the front of Alex Marquez's bike, saying the ribs are ready. Well, let's hope he's back in Indonesia as Alex Marquez watches on. Whose comments about the 2024 calendar, 22 races announced. You will be able to find that if you look on the socials, MotoGP on TNT. 22 races. Alex Marquez says they need to start first dates for us MotoGP riders, because there's no way you're forming relationships with that calendar.
I think he's got a bit of a reputation anyway. It's a bit of a lad about town. It's funny you should say that. I think he'll be all right.
Yeah,
well, Alex Marquez, yeah.
Well, the multi-millionaire.
Yeah, I don't think he's shy. Put it that way.
No, he definitely is not. He's a character as well, like his brother, but in a more understated way, isn't he? He's all under the radar. But he's a funny lad, is Alex Marquez.
Yeah, good kid.
On board with Jorge Martin under the first of the tunnels. That's where Fabio Quartararo got up on the curbs, and you could just see as soon as the front wheel went back on the ground, away it went. 120 miles an hour crash. Jorge Martin, new helmet design, new number on his bike this weekend, new gloves, new boots with a collaboration. You can see instead of Alpine Stars, in the Alpine Stars font it says Antisocial Social Club, which is a collaboration that he's running this weekend. Always confuses us commentators when you're trying to spot who's who, especially when both of the Pramac riders use Red Bull helmets, and it's very, very hard to tell them apart at times.
And now that his new number, it's the same number but a different like font or style, but it's like in camouflage as well. So cheers for that.
They don't think about us, do they?
No, weird.
A new helmet design for Aleix Espargaro this weekend, headed to Kabuto before the start of racing this week.
Lots of special helmet designs for the Japanese round. That's Yanigawa. There's a blasphemy.
Are you going back to your Kawasaki days?
Yanigawa's probably still racing. I mean, there's a man who never wanted to give it up.
About 60 then.
Yeah, Nakagami.
He definitely had a tough paper round at the Kiri Yanagawa.
Yeah, Nakagami's got a very, very nice looking special helmet for this weekend. So has Maverick Vinales. I went and taxied around to the RI service area, and unfortunately I didn't get a chance to see it because he'd already been to collect it. Well, I don't think he had. His man had been to collect it.
Yeah, I love a special helmet design for this Grand Prix. I bet you've got your helmet serviced while we're here in Japan.
It's just everything. It's the small detail of when you go into somewhere like the RI service area. It's so factory here in Japan. It's just a high level of attention to detail. The small little stickers they put on, and then the way they do it, and the guys working there have got the white gloves on. It's immaculate. It's like you're in a surgery.
Yeah.
I saw it me and Charlie went to a golf shop on Tuesday in Tokyo. 7 floors. We spent 3 hours in this golf shop. We are that sad. And on the top floor, you could buy Titleist clubs, and they altered them there for you. I watched the guy doing it. He had this little lathe, and he was engraving things, and he was I could spend hours there. I spent 3. But I want to go back on Monday.
All the photographers, when they come here, there's a Canon and Nikon and Sony servicing for all their equipment in the press room as well, and they're all getting that same treatment done of all the
mechanics do as well. They go to the hardware stores, they pick up the Trickus tape and all the little details for them working on the bikes. They can only get that material here in Japan, so they all love it.
And the gift shop's always a favourite with the spanner spoons. That's one of them. Julian Ryder always being a fan of picking up the the twin ring Motegi, as it was known then, twin ring Motegi spanner spoon, spanner one and spoon the other. All you need for a day out.
I remember, Julian, just even the stickers here just look even more factory.
I got a sticker last night as well. You get stickers everywhere. Got a sticker from the ramen shop that we were in last night, which is it'll cool. That'll be going somewhere on the laptop.
Totally recommend if you can come to we get asked all the time, don't we? What's the best European event to go to? Which is the best flyaway? And
Japan.
Actually,
Japan.
I've never really recommended this place before, but I've never been to Tokyo before. We were fortunate enough to spend 2 days in there at the start of this week, and we had such a good time. It is a must. It's got to be a bucket list. And actually,
it's just a shame about this track.
Yeah, the track's a bit boring, but it's still okay for spectators.
Yeah. It's just that it's just not got much around. It's not easy to get to.
No, it's not a Mugello or a Misano.
Oh, the train service in Japan is incredible. As Marco Bezzecchi's dropped down into the 144s in this session. It's
a 144.623 for Marco Bezzecchi with 4 minutes to go. He's gone back up there. Ralph Fernandez a 145.185. That time cancelled for Jorge Martin due to exceeding the track limits. Bagnaia. Now this is interesting. Bagnaia is doing a faster run, but he's dropped down to 5.5 tenths down on his own time in the 3rd sector. Now this is not going to be an improvement at all for Bagnaia across the line, and it's not. It's a 145.2, so he's off the pace massively, surprisingly. And D'Antonio goes up to 3rd with a 145.021, meaning the top 6 now separate. Well, I'm trying to work out what it is, because Bezzecchi's gone forward to mean that it's now 3 tenths between him and Bagnaia. Binder's run wide down at the long loop, turn 7, and lap time cancelled for 30 for exceeding track limits as well. That's going to be out there for Takiki Nakagami as Binder comes in. Lap time cancelled for Maverick Vinales as well for exceeding the track limits as well. 6 minutes to go, as you can see on your clock in front of you. Bezzecchi 144.622. Bagnaia, Miller 3rd, D'Antonio, Binder 5th as things stand. And now this will be the final practice they get into the warm tomorrow, which is only 10 minutes. So they're going to have to go out there right now, figure out what's working with the track, and figure out how quickly they can get out there and how quickly they can go for qualifying one later.
Sorry, for Q2, he is going directly through to Q2, was the last rider qualified. Q1 will be where we'll find Frankie Morbidelli. The Yamaha in the past has actually gone all right at this venue, hasn't it? And it's often been about, I think Cal Crutchlow mentioned it to you, Neil, on your track guide, because it's about carrying the speed into the middle of the corner, and some of these corners are longer radius, they're very steady radius, but the double apex 1 and 2, 3 and 4.
Yeah, the bigger corners than you actually think. If you look at a map, it looks like turn 1 is a hairpin, but actually it's classed as turn 1 and 2, and you can carry corner speed around it. The only one that is like, let's say a Mickey Mouse type hairpin is turn 10? Yeah, turn 10 is. But apart from that, if you're just looking at the map now, there is a bit more flow than you would actually expect.
Got to give a shout to Stefan Bradl. He's a day behind everyone, obviously stepping in to fill the void for Alex Rins, who did try and ride yesterday and the pain was too much, so he has pulled out. But in 6 laps, Stefan Bradl is 1.6 off Marco Bezzecchi, a day behind the rest. So he should be standing with a microphone in his hand, not with an RCT.
He was yesterday.
He was indeed. So,
and he scored a point last time. Stefan Bradl is not slow.
No, not at all.
World champion, of course, in Moto2 himself. I wanted to have a quick word, obviously, because the little battle between test riders there, Bradl, Crutchlow and Pirro, that's a little mini battle. But a word about what Cal is testing this weekend. We thought it was the same aero from Misano, but he says actually it's
different.
Another modification on that, and it looked like the same aero, same exhaust that we saw there.
Yeah, it's interesting because actually when the weekend started, when Fabio Quartararo was asked about, it's good that at least we've got Cal here testing, trying some things, it was really dismissive. Not the fact that it's Cal, it was saying, yeah, but the things that the testing episode it's in the bike, we've tried and we don't like, and we've tried them on more than one occasion. But in reality, there are subtle changes to the aero, as you would expect, and it is all about gathering data. Sometimes you do need to reconfirm I know that is the Japanese way, and you could argue that's been one of their issues because they are very sensitive to throw things at it. They're a bit more reserved, I should say. And but it sounds like the exhaust that they're trying. The comments are, it made me laugh. The comments are, the biggest problem with it is it's too quiet. You can't hear it, and the problem is when you take away the noise, you take away feel. That said, if you look at the data, the different exhausts, which look more like the KTM, offer a softer, better acceleration. So it's better.
It generates more
grip, but actually the riders aren't liking it because they can't hear it.
It's further away.
I remember it's the very first time I wore earplugs. I've raced for about 6 years, hence why I'm quite deaf now. What? Exactly. Yeah, if you ask my wife, she always says, I'm just sat here, you know, when I'm talking to her. And I always have to apologise for that. Oh, yeah, I forget. And the first time I wore earplugs, I came in, I went, I can't wear them. They went, why not? I went, I can't feel the bike because I couldn't hear it. Actually, once you get used to wearing earplugs, you do. So it's a funny one.
Well, funny maybe, but the session's over, so practice 2 concludes, and Marc Marquez is still not happy with something in his leathers. Now, he's taking the top half off, he's trying to readjust himself as well, and he's putting a back protector in. Oh, okay. So a back protector is going on for Marc Marquez now on the leathers. And it's Bezzecchi, Bagnaia, Miller, Di Giannantonio, Binder, Marc Marquez in 6th. Martin up there too, and everyone's opening lap times concluding for what has been a very interesting session. Not exactly the one we were all expecting to see, but it is a welcome one. 1:44.472 is the ideal lap time here, with Bezzecchi first, third and fourth sectors. Bagnaia's middle sector though was the fastest, 20.270. So he's got that time in the middle, but nobody else is improving on their lap times, which means it is Bezzecchi, Bagnaia, Miller, Di Giannantonio, followed by Binder, Marc Marquez, Martin, Aleix Espargaro, Ralph Fernandez, and Maverick Vinales, the top 10 in the combined practice times. Then going in with Miguel Oliveira, Franco Morbidelli, Augusto Fernandez, Fabio Di Giannantonio, Johan Zarco, Paul Espargaro, Johan Mir, Takiki Nakagami, Stefan Bradl, Kyle Crutchlow and Michele Pirro. That's the running order for the circuits there. The Martinator just revving up his bike and heading straight on for the Moto2 Grand Prix of Japan. That concludes the second practice session. We're off now for a break on Twitch, and we will start coverage on YouTube live for qualifying. If you watch it on YouTube delayed, we'll be off now in just a second as well, and you can go back and watch qualifying coverage as well. That's about to be live. If you're watching on Twitch, stay exactly where you are. You don't need to do anything. We'll be back in a few moments' time after the break for qualifying.